PC Perspective's coverage of the 2013 Consumer Electronics Show is brought to you by AMD and the second generation A-Series APUs. Hey guys, how you doing?
Tired.
This is the PC Perspective Podcast. I'm Josh Walrath.
Wow.
I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Alan Malventano.
And I'm tired.
But he's also Ken. This is day 2.
You realize we didn't do that yesterday, right?
No, we totally...
We didn't do the name intro?
No,
Whatever.
or the outro.
So if you're new to the group, that's who we are.
Yes.
This is not our normal recording setup and everything. Find all of our good episodes at pcper.com/podcast.
Yes, because
Find our good episode.
and absence makes
It's good is relative.
The heart grow fonder.
Gooder.
something like that.
So let's talk about what we did today. It was still not the first day officially of the show. CES actually opens tomorrow morning, as Alan found out, and but we still had a lot of meetings to go to. First thing that we did today was we went to go see Asus, and they had I would say a medium amount of new stuff, at least compared to what they usually have.
Yeah.
They did not have a press conference this year. If we start on the systems side, they had notebook refreshes. They had one that was kind of interesting. It was a 14-inch ROG gaming notebook that had a 660M in it. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, the G74, I think.
Yeah, I took pictures of it, but I haven't finished the post for it yet. That was kind of interesting. They had touch, the the touch version of the ZenBook. They had other things like that, and then they had an all-in-one called the Transformer All-in-One. And I just posted a video of this on the website. Right? You just looked intense. Yeah, you're fine.
I'm working photos here, man.
Okay.
I'm glad we bore you that
The
much.
Transformer... no, go ahead. Transformer All-in-One is a 18-inch all-in-one computer that the screen undocks from it. You can actually just physically detach it. It has a battery. I think it lasts, they said between 4 and 5 hours. In the dock is the Core i5 based hardware. And in the screen, when you detach it, is actually a Tegra 3 based Android system. And when it's docked, you can switch between the Windows 8, full Windows 8, and Android operating systems by pushing a button on the side, and it really quickly changes between the two instances. And then when you detach it, it is essentially a very large 18-inch Android tablet you can sit on your lap. And it will. They didn't have it ready yet, but it will eventually be able to do streaming, like wireless streaming, so that you'll be able to use the Windows 8 even detached from the base within a certain range, using the Core i5 hardware on the system.
Is this the third giant tablet we've seen so far?
It's at least the second. The first one we saw was the Lenovo Idea Center Horizon.
Yeah, I feel like there's another
Sony's
one
got
somewhere
one.
in there.
Remember that big one, the battery-powered Sony? Well, actually, you guys didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
It was
no.
it was at the Intel thing I went to. That they
What was this category they were calling?
Surface replacements? I don't know.
No, it was like, convertible
Tabletop,
Next
tablets.
computer will be a big ass table.
Yes. Yeah. And so this was like an 18-inch or 20. No, it was a 20-inch. And it did the same thing as the Lenovo, and they had the Lenovo guys there with their 24-inch, and the family was around playing Monopoly and
I want to do that.
Yeah.
We
And
so
then
need to
the
get
best
one of
part
those.
was that they had the Lenovo, and they had a poker game on there, and everybody was able to look at their cards with their cell phone. And it makes so much sense to me to buy $2,400 worth of equipment to play cards, which you could buy for $2 a pack.
Yeah.
You're no fun.
But anyway, back to Asus.
Anyway, that's the Transformer all-in-one. Then if we go towards, they had some other stuff. What am I forgetting there on the system? Was there anything? They had the Q. Is it the Q?
Cube?
The Cube.
Cube. Q-U-B-E.
Okay, that is a Google TV kind of media box based on Android.
Yeah.
Wasn't it originally going to be like the Nexus Cube?
That was the rumor, but they never said that or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah,
It's possible.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
The Q thing's kind of...
Obviously, Google has a pretty good relationship with Asus.
Yeah.
And they did this last year with the Nexus tablet, the Nexus 7.
Right.
They did the exact thing.
But what's the one that Google actually came out with? The Q?
Well, it never really came out.
Well, some people got it. If you pre-ordered it, you got it
Yeah.
for free. I didn't pre-order it.
Yeah, I know.
You're not talking in your microphone.
I'll close enough. I'll do it like this from now on.
Okay, that's good.
I guess that was kind of it on the system side. If we look at the component side, what was interesting, JJ was there.
Yeah.
Of course, no CES is complete without a visit with JJ.
True.
And he showed us the Ares 2 graphics card, which is a dual Radeon 7970 full speed Radeon 7970 gigahertz edition. So it was like, I think a boost clock was up to 1100 megahertz or something like that. I saw on the card. 3 gigs memory per GPU. Only a 2-slot card, which all the other kind of special editions
have been 3 slot.
Even their Matrix.
Right. But this had an external self-contained water cooling kit to it. Right. So kind of like you would see on like a Corsair H80 or something like that. It was a double. I don't know what
double width.
It was double width. I don't know what the actual measurement is, but it's a double thickness radiator that mounts on the back of the case, like you know, with the CPU
80
cooler
fan, I believe.
I believe that, yeah. And on the spec, it said it was capable of 600 watts of cooling on it, combined between that and the fan that was actually on the device.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Yeah.
Okay.
So when are they going to take the next step and maybe make it like a 240 and add in the CPU at the same time?
You mean a cooler for it?
Yeah.
I think the problem with that is Asus doesn't want to do it because they don't want to have to make it, support that cooler. Maybe
Didn't we see? Didn't one of the QuakeCon?
Yeah, PNY sort of did it.
Did they do that? Did both?
Yeah,
they had a GTX 680.
I think it might have,
or 580 that did it.
Did both.
Yeah, I thought it was a CPU and
maybe there was
and
an
like
option.
with the Maximus 5 formula. I don't know, one of those. They have the water cooling barbs on the
chip.
power management
chipset. Oh
They
yeah,
just-
the PWM.
I think an all-in-one self-contained solution for that board, a board like that would be awesome. And they could save the board and the graphics card.
But I mean, look at how much the Ares 2 is going to cost.
yeah, I didn't say I want to pay for it.
Right. And it's just one of those things that's not going to I don't know, financially viable. You have to make a huge commitment at that point to the entire infrastructure of what they're building. So it was cool in the vein of the Ares and the Mars 2 and all that kind of stuff that we've seen recently. The other thing they showed off with not a whole lot of detail was the Raider Express, which is a PCI Express based SSD that they're going to have. They didn't give us any details on controller or capacities or prices or specific features other than saying we're going to qualify this. It's going to work perfectly with our product. You had some issues before with some PCIe SSDs maybe screwing up the capability to run SLI on a system at the same time and those other types of things, and they want to address that issue. So that's the plan for that. You didn't hear anything else about it.
But it sort of sounds like a Me Too thing. Because there's not a lot of PCI Express SSDs that have those issues.
Yeah.
Generally.
It may be a Me Too thing, but Asus has done a lot of good things with software recently, trying to make their motherboard line stand out from the competition, and maybe they could do some interesting stuff with that as well.
Maybe.
I don't know what they'd be able to do from a performance standpoint that other SSD
there's an awful lot of
providers could be.
competition out there that's been at this for a long time, so just to try to jump in and match them might be hard.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. And the last thing we looked at was monitors. And what we saw, 2 different monitors, right? Tell me we saw one of them was like a 144 hertz display.
Yeah, we had 3 different monitors they had on there.
Okay.
The first one was the 144 hertz display. It was a TN based. It was a 1 millisecond response. So it could, theoretically achieve those speeds. It's 3D ready, but it doesn't have any of the 3D hardware in there. Same, namely the IR,
the blaster.
The sensor.
And the one we're talking about, just to clarify, is the VG248QE.
Yeah, and it was a pretty decent looking monitor.
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
TN.
Yeah, for a TN, I didn't see a huge amount of color shift. It was nice, bright, and not overly so.
And we were in a well-lit room.
Yeah, and they looked nice, and they were very, very smooth.
What did they say? Did they say $399?
It was something real cheap.
It was pretty reasonable. 24-inch 1080p panel, but 144 hertz. What is the benefit of having a 144 hertz screen? Just the ability to
to be able to run VSync with
Add 100
applications that that'll improve the smoothness of either videos that support the higher frame rates. It's like 48 frames per second stuff. You'll be able to maybe, I think that because is it what 144 is 48 is 144 is divisible by 48.
I don't know. That's what I'm looking at right now.
He just started the calculator app.
Yeah, because
Come on, do it. I want to see the answer.
it.
yeah, because
Three.
Yeah, because 12
That's
squared
why.
is 144 and 48 divided
So
by
it'll
12.
refresh each frame three
Man, it's
times.
good math.
But it's an even increment. That's
Exactly,
the thing.
and so
Ryan and
you're
I
not
were
gonna
at,
get any-
Yeah.
That's why we.
I
we
was
didn't
asking
figure it out.
Ryan earlier today. I was like, why on earth go for 144? That's an oddball number. But
Yeah,
now it makes sense.
24, and the only thing it doesn't go into is 60, but there's no content. There's 30.
That's at 60.
Yeah, but anyway,
Well, games.
yeah, games running at and this doesn't have to go at 144.
Yeah.
it can go at 120 without a problem. And so again, games that have refresh locked at 120, you're going to get a nicer, smoother experience.
The other monitor was the MX. Oh, where'd I go?
299
299 something.
QE. I don't know.
MX299. Nope, hold on, I lost it. MX299Q, and this is a 29-inch, 21 by 9 aspect ratio, 2560 by 1080 resolution display. So it's double wide, so to speak.
So
Yes.
we've been seeing a lot of 21 by 9. We've been seeing a few 21 by 9 monitors recently, and
Yeah.
I think 2560 is the biggest horizontal resolution I've seen on them. I
Probably.
I always thought they were lower than that. The ones
think
that
I
we've seen
saw-
so far.
Well,
maybe not.
I don't know. I think they've all been 2560 by 1080.
Yeah.
because I'm guessing there's not very many panel manufacturers that are putting out.
Yeah.
Yes.
That particular
Someone started
device.
cranking these out.
Right.
Yeah,
like,
Dell has one.
crap, make a monitor around it.
Yeah,
So is that roughly the aspect of the really wide,
like
widescreen?
anamorphic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anamorphic,
21 by 9.
like-
That's the
is a
cinema.
movie,
Like
yeah.
2.35 to 1, whatever,
Yeah,
that stuff?
Yeah, it's the other cinema
Yeah,
aspect ratio.
the wider
real
cinema
one.
aspect ratio.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
But realize if you're watching...
I don't know what content
the-
you're going to get in
If
that.
you're watching the
but-
regular widescreen stuff, it's going to pillar.
Yeah. I don't know where you get 21 by 9
You're going to end up
content.
with black bars on,
Sure.
on
Yeah.
the right and the left side instead of the top and the bottom.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's a good idea for people that you want to have like two quote full screen apps open at the same time, but you don't want to have two monitors for whatever reason.
Well, it's good for video editors.
There's no bezel between it. Yeah, it would be good for video editing because
you can have the whole... timeline will be real long.
and you don't have the bezels breaking things up and that kind
Well,
of stuff.
no, I mean, you'd want 1080 pixels tall if you're doing 1080p video.
That is
people-
1080.
No, but with the timeline below it. I mean,
People that the people that typically like to have a dual monitor setup, but then they hate when they game and they want to use both. They have the bezel right in the middle.
Yeah, and you can game at this resolution.
Yeah.
I would like to see it. They didn't have a demo of it running, but you could game at 2560
yeah,
by
but
1080.
wouldn't we have the same issues? Well,
Is Infinity?
You'll
Yeah.
have field of view.
FOV.
issues.
Yeah,
Field of view
but you won't
issues,
have a
yeah.
bezel in the middle of it.
Yeah.
True.
On the side of it, right? I mean,
Depends
that's
on
kind
the
of
game.
interesting. Yeah,
Depends on the game.
yeah.
And then I think the third one was their. They didn't talk about it much, but it was the professional 24.
Oh,
inch.
that's right. Yeah.
I believe it was.
Was it a
1920
27?
by 12? No, it was 24. But they
Okay.
they said they are going to offer a 27-inch, with either SIPS or PLS. I think it was a PLS.
Yeah.
Based monitor.
and it's
going to be later.
It's
this
Adobe
quarter.
RGB qualified
Yeah.
as well as sRGB.
Yeah.
Like
so.
color corrected from them.
Yeah,
So you don't have
they
to go-
offer both profiles, sRGB and
But,
Adobe
but
RGB.
ideally that you don't have to calibrate it even afterwards. Like
I think that's
hopefully.
theory.
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Asus is doing a lot of things with monitors. I mean, they have in the past. They've become one of the larger monitor sellers in the
Yeah.
United States. With
They've done a lot of cool
products.
stuff. I mean, look at all. I mean, they've expanded into the whole networking stuff really well.
Yeah.
They didn't have any networking stuff on display, which was kind of odd.
Yeah.
But Chris did a lot of reviews recently of their Asus networking gear, and it turned out really well to boot. So
Then the last thing we saw is with the Sabertooth 990F Rev B Gen 3.
FM2 board.
No, it was
990F,
it was the
okay.
AM3
Okay.
Plus, and they have a PCIe 3.0 PLX chip built into that, so you can have PCIe 3.0 connectivity.
A little bit unique for
Yeah,
that
and
platform.
apparently it utilizes 32 lanes from the whatchamacallit, the North Bridge to connect to the one chip, so that you don't give up too much bandwidth. Potentially, it's not like it's going to be bottlenecked anyway, and you're not going to get any performance increase. You should see a decent little performance increase in multi-GPU stuff, but that's coming out here shortly.
Cool. We also we went and visit with MSI. They didn't have a whole lot to necessarily show new right now.
A lot of laptops.
Oh yeah, we did see some laptops. None of them were super new, but they're new to I think most of our readers and listeners and that kind of stuff because MSI is a growing name. We had an interesting discussion with them about MSI's getting into notebooks. They're really kind of focusing on gaming notebooks. Everybody else has kind of backed away from gaming notebooks. Like even Asus, who has made good gaming notebooks, doesn't really push them as much. Right? They're pushing their Ultrabooks. They're pushing their mainstream machines. Lenovo has one. Dell has Alienware. HP has a gaming, but they don't really push it. And Alienware, they kind of push, but nothing's really changed on their side in quite a long time.
Yeah.
And MSI has a pretty good opportunity, I think, to get to that market that I think is growing. We get a lot of questions about it all the time. People wanting to buy gaming notebooks and that kind of stuff.
Do you find it interesting that they have a gaming notebook based on the AMD A10 mobile processor?
So it's an A10 with a 7970.
7970M.
That is almost 100% a AMD request.
Yeah.
Please make this for us so that we can sell it at, we'll give you parts at a discount and we can demo it to people, right? And that's what they want to do. And it's still a viable gaming machine. But I forget, somebody did a test on it and they looked at like 7970 with the A10 and 7970 with a Core i7 or something like that. And the Core i7 was faster. There you go.
Yeah.
In gaming stuff, right? It's still viable and it's still less expensive.
Yeah.
Which is great, and it does support Eyefinity.
Yeah.
Out of the box, so to speak. Yeah, they were demoing Eyefinity at the booth.
What I really thought the cool thing they were showing is, and I haven't really heard about this before, is they had the workstation laptops. So they kind of took the gaming notebook chassis and put Tesla cards in, or not Tesla, Quadro cards in them.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think a professional is going to buy these, but I think it's a really good idea for students.
Yeah, they kind of said that as well, that they're entry-level workstation machines, $2,000, $1,500. Good for people that are just getting started in the industry, people that are just trying to begin to do things, don't want to spend $9,000 on a workstation until you know exactly what's going on.
The price is one thing, but just the way it looks. Since they didn't change much from the gaming chassis, it's more like I'm a 19-year-old architecture student. I need to run AutoCAD with acceleration, and it's only on Quadros. So I'll buy this. It looks cool. I can still do a little gaming on it. Yeah, it's got the programmable lights and all that stuff I want.
Sweet.
Oh man,
you like programmable
backlit
lights?
Keyboard?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
SteelSeries keyboards.
It was a pretty nice keyboard.
Yeah. So that was MSI. You went to see Intel.
I did.
You went to an Intel press briefing, I guess they'll call it.
I did.
What was the quick and dirty on what they talked about there?
Is there anything ever quick and dirty about me? Don't answer that. Okay.
We won't.
Okay, they went through several different things. Phones, tablets, and the core group. Phones, Medfield is still the go-to CPU. They did talk about the the Clover Trail Plus is going to be afterwards, and they'll be releasing it later.
For phones?
Mm-hmm, for phones. And then after that is a next gen, which is a 22 nanometer part that they will be doing into this half-watt envelope for phones. They are releasing the Lexington phone. It's a code name.
Lexington platform. Yeah.
Platform. It's a low cost product for emerging markets. So think Africa, Asia, India. Not a whole lot of income from folks there, but they want smartphones. It's got like a 1.2 gigahertz hyper threaded processor. I'm assuming it's single core.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the SGX 540 graphics. It can take like 7 pictures in 1 second. I mean, it's got a decent camera. and software behind it. They worked with Google to add a couple of Intel-specific things to the Android architecture to improve performance. Got an Intel modem in there. I think it's only 3G, but it's still, I think, up to like, what, 21 megabit?
Emerging markets, if that's the target of that, that makes sense.
Yeah, so, you know, and also they're throwing in the Intel wireless display. So it's a nice little thing.
All right.
Tablets, Clover Trail, and the Windows 8 push. It's going to be the
still
big thing.
ongoing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Atom Z2760 processor up to 1.8 gigahertz.
Yep. Dual
core, double CPU per 10 plus hours battery that they say, and 3-week standby. And then they're also working on the Beta Trail platform, and they're expecting that to be holiday 2013, and that's going to be that 22 nanometer part.
So Beta Trail is 22 nanometer tablet kind of target markets.
That's the platform, yeah.
And
that
quad core
goes from like 3 watts up to I think 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quad core, the higher end parts start to introduce like turbo boost technology, essentially.
Yeah. Yep.
Burst speed or burst technology, they're calling
it. 2.7.
Up to 2.7 gigahertz, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, they didn't actually talk to us about that. That was all from the leaked slides.
Oh, sure.
And it's kind of funny because they mentioned all this stuff. I think that essentially they didn't want to go into it, but the cat was let out of the bag, so they kind of...
Oh, you think this might have been kind of an addition?
It might have been.
Yeah.
So, again, holiday 2013.
That's a way as
going into the core group, they were launching something today. It is a 7-watt Ivy Bridge processor. Now, previously, I believe that they were expecting to get down to 10 watts with Ivy Bridge, and it wasn't going to be out for a little bit. And in fact, they were aiming the Haswell release for 10 watts, and that was going to be the big product. Well, they're able to improve Ivy Bridge to the point where they could release a 7-watt product, and they're launching and shipping that. And
do they give you any idea of what kind of battery life improvements you get out of that?
Well, I mean, with the 7-watt product, you kind of have an idea of what that's going to be. I mean, they've
3 watts.
How many cores and what? Like, what's the?
They didn't give us that kind of information.
I imagine what you're talking about are if we're talking about the 10-watt parts, you're talking about dual-core hyper-threaded, low-end ULV parts that go in ultra-thin, ultra books.
Yeah, right. But that's just surprising that they can get 2 cores of that architecture running at 7 watts. That's really.
That's why they make the big bucks, Alan.
Yeah. But they're saying it's 3 times the performance of Tegra with comparable power. And,
Tegra. So they're comparing
Tegra 3.
So they're comparing.
In fact, they
a 7-watt Ivy Bridge to Tegra 3.
Yes. In fact, they talked about Tegra 3 and compared a lot of the things to it throughout. So I guess NVIDIA is really coming up in the world because they're the comparison that they're doing.
I guess
they talked about other products like the Lenovo Yoga 11s, Yoga 11, and 11s. A bunch of other companies have some convertibles, Acer, whoever.
Yeah.
They're still pushing Ultrabooks. The big push is to get touch enabled down to $599. Currently, I think $699 is about the lowest priced touch enabled Ultrabook, and they're trying to get that down to $599 within this year. Let's see.
What else did what was the deal with the requirements of touch and requirements of WiDi? That was for Haswell stuff.
They didn't talk about much of that at all.
Where did I see that then? I thought it came from that press conference that they had announced that the next generation of Ultrabooks that comes with Haswell, that's going to be like mid this year.
They didn't want to talk about Haswell at all because the push was this low power Ivy and Ultrabook specifications and Ultrabooks getting down into these price points.
Well, I read it on several places, The Verge and Engadget, and some of the places that Intel had said that when Haswell comes out in Ultrabooks, they're going to require touch, and they're going to require WiDi. One of those I'm okay with. One
touch.
Of those I'm not. No.
Yeah.
No, incorrect.
Yeah, they didn't talk too much about that.
Right.
I believe that they did a few things, but. Yeah, okay. The 4th gen Ultrabook required to have touch and instant on.
Yes,
Those are the requirements.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're right.
So the 4th gen is Haswell.
Yep.
And what did they give you a timeline for that? Because I thought I heard like July. They pulled it in.
I thought they kind of pushed it out a little bit because I thought it was going to be a May introduction.
Oh, maybe they said May then.
They said around May, but
okay.
Yeah, we're not.
That seems pretty quick.
Then they talked about their pay TV content, which we covered.
They
Comcast, and they now have a French partner that'll be launching in the fall, I believe. So
they didn't announce a set-top box or anything like that.
Well, they did. It's an atom-based Puma Silicon set-top box, whatever that means.
That's all they said.
They didn't want to go into it too terrible much, but what they're really pushing is that all the Intel security functionality that they built in chip, that these groups are leveraging it to deliver protected content.
Oh boy, DRM.
And then the last thing talked about was perceptual computing, where they have touch, hearing, seeing, motion, and I don't know what, they didn't have any examples of this, but emotional context. So maybe if you're really red in the face,
every time
Clippy comes up and says, "I see you're pissed today."
Please cheer up, Alan.
Come on.
Then it plays a cat video.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So these are all things, and this is the I think an Israeli group that's doing all this, doing heavy duty facial recognition. Yeah, I mean,
it's so I can change the page of my cookbook while I'm cooking when my hands are messy.
Yes, exactly.
That
not only
that was
Intel.
AMD.
No, AMD showed that later in the day.
It looks so slow.
It does look very slow, but I will say that was the first time I actually looked at that going on and went, I might actually do that then.
Well, I don't understand what the idea.
Lenovo showed it to us.
What's the point of having?
Well, the best part about motion is when you do that, you say, "Your battery is not running low yet."
I don't think it's going to help.
And then it dies.
What's the point? What's the point? If I'm for a TV,
these
for
aren't
Connect,
the DVDs
for
you're
a game
looking
console, I kind of get the idea of it's something way over there. If I'm sitting at a desk with my laptop, why do I need to use gesture control?
Right.
There's to change the page of something.
The only time I could picture is if you were cooking and your hands were full like chicken
Maybe
grease.
you're murdering somebody.
Yeah,
Maybe
you're
you
Dexter.
have no arms. Look at all those use cases.
How do I get the AC joint?
You have no arms.
Have no arms.
Then you can't do the gesture.
You just wave your head.
I don't
think it'll work.
I don't think that's a thing.
Facial recognition.
Then no, you need the emotion. You need the emotion.
Turn the page.
I'm really pissed.
Turn the page.
Change the page.
But they do three-dimensional gesture interaction. It's not just gestures. It's these big clumps. They actually see your fingers, which way your fingers are pointing.
Right. I mean, you could do some cool stuff with that. They were talking about like 3D modeling. If you're doing 3D modeling, being able to rotate and manipulate. But it uses an external camera.
Yeah.
Right now, so it's not small enough to implement into
not yet,
current
but they're
bezels.
working on that.
They're working on it, and there's some issues with what your depth ranges are and that kind of stuff.
And then they have eye tracking. So not only did they do hand tracking, but they're doing eye tracking, which could be very embarrassing if you leave your.
Don't let that data get out.
Yes.
Don't let that data.
And
get out.
they're having a guy play Where's Waldo, and it was following his eye.
I saw the end of that.
He saw where Waldo was. It made a big sound and
I'll
turned
just
the
like
page.
this. I won.
No, you'll just scan across every line.
Yeah.
Well, I saw that part of the stream at the end, and he was like, "I want to show you guys a really popular game with kids in this country. Where's Waldo?"
And
I went,
He had one before it, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's kind of cool." And then it went to Where's Waldo.
So it wasn't Angry Birds, so he was wrong. Basically,
really difficult.
"Man, gesture control Angry Birds." He's like,
it's called touchscreen.
yeah, I don't know how that would.
I want gesture control.
Because then you can just be like,
That Portal.
perceptual computing.
That Portal was the game.
Yes,
They-
Portal was
there
the
you go.
first
Yeah,
one.
that's
So
what
it's
it
like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then it was Where's Waldo?
Where's Waldo?
Which still cool.
But that was it. Then,
All right.
then they kicked us all out, and they didn't give us any Ultrabooks.
Did you check under every seat?
Everybody was checking under their seat. I could feel a guy from behind me slapping underneath my seat. And of course, I had to do it to the
down
guy
a
in front of me.
Yeah, you got to pass it on. Once that happens, you got to pass it on.
Your foot for that.
So we also did our hands-on with the NVIDIA Shield, Project Shield Tegra 4 powered gaming device. I really have no idea what to call it.
The Avenger thing.
The Avenger.
Project Shield?
Project Shield.
But somebody
Thor?
said Avenger?
No, they never said that.
I said Avenger.
Okay.
Joss Whedon would come and sue
They can't get that trademark either.
If they can't get Thor, they can't get Avengers. So we did a video of this. We actually streamed it live, and then we put together a little bit better video with some audio on it. If you go to pcper.com/CES, you can see that video up there. And we got to, I got to use it. I got to hold it. Got to play. You got to get the regular Android interface, use it as a media player, applications. You got to play an Android game. I think they played a new like Hawken is coming out on Android, and they played that boxing game that they played at the press release. And then we played Black Ops 2 streaming from the PC on a device.
Blops.
And you know what? It was cool. It was interesting. I was not 100% sold still. So it felt like a well-built piece of machinery, piece of electronics in your hand. I'm used to the Xbox controller, not the PlayStation controller, so the location of the joysticks was a little bit off for me, but you get used to that. The screen was great on it. The 5-inch screen of retinal quality, not a retina display.
Yeah, retinal
quality. Was really great. It seemed really bright. It had great viewing angles when we were doing, because he was trying to show the camera what was going on, and I could still very clearly see what was going on. That was actually kind of nice. Yeah, I mean, it worked, right? I mean, they had some issues during their press conference where it didn't work at first, and I'm sure this one was very controlled environment. They had two separate devices. One was for the streaming and one was for the Android play. They didn't want you to switch it up and that kind of stuff. But it actually felt good. We got some technical questions out of it, like what's the actual latency if you're streaming it over your PC? From your PC. And he said Tony Tomasi told us it was from stick to visual from control to visual is 100 milliseconds, and that's going through the network,
the whole round
into
trip.
the computer and back out to the network.
He said, what was it? Something I forget
about the consoles.
No, there's some term he used.
I don't know. I don't remember. But they compared it to console latency because some TVs can have up to 50 milliseconds of latency.
True.
That it's actually less latency than you get by playing on a console on that TV.
But a lot of what they were pushing was hooking this up to a TV, so that adds a lot more latency into it.
Yeah, unless the TV's in game mode.
Right. But then their argument is kind of null there, right? So we didn't play it to the TV. Well, one thing that I didn't really like, it's still early. They said they were trying to fix it. When you're playing it on the handheld, it shows up on the PC screen as well.
Yeah.
I said, is that something you can disable? And they said, no, not yet. So the PC upstairs in your office, it was a mirror essentially. I mean, what I'm guessing it's doing is it's creating a driver. It's creating a display driver that Windows sees, and it's just mirroring it.
Yeah.
Right. And so you can't disable it on the first one. And I thought it would be cool to be able to have my wife, if she's browsing the internet, as long as it's not a super CPU intense.
Yeah, but then you'd have an issue with input control.
But the whole game has to run.
That's true.
Because it's not a virtualized thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like she hits enter on the keyboard.
But still, it would be nice. It's muted, he said, so you don't have to worry about if you left your speakers on, audio's not coming through it.
It seemed to be surprisingly in sync. I got both of
in the video
in the same angle, and it was pretty spot on.
Every time I see an NVIDIA person since last night, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And I'm still not sold. They were very. I was like, well, what's it going to cost? What do you think it should cost?
Yeah,
that's
not
$1.
What? Yeah, and I was like, you read something today on their blog, on a blog post that said that an NVIDIA rep officially said, I think was it Jason? No, it was Tony Tomasi, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it
said
was.
that they're not going to take a loss on the device. They're not going to pull the method that you. What did you relate it to?
The razor blade method.
Razor blade method. Sell the razor at a loss so you can sell the blades later. So that the idea. I think the idea of getting this device for $199 or $299 is maybe not going to be possible,
feasible. Yeah.
And if it's higher than that, I don't see. To me, there was a line from one of the other write-ups in Gadget that said 5 years of research. But is it 5 years too late?
Yeah.
And I don't think that's quite accurate, but it gives you an idea. It's like the DS and the PlayStation Vita are great technologically advanced devices, but the mobile gaming market is kind of dying. And this device that the Shield, there's basically two devices. Here's what you can do when you're away from your house, and here's what you can do when you're in your house. And what you can do when you're in your house is kind of cool, but if I'm in my house and I want to play Black Ops 2, I can sit on my couch and do it with this controller and stream it out, or I can play it on my PC upstairs. Like it seems
or you
like
could have a computer hooked up to your TV.
You can have a computer hooked up to your TV, and then I don't know. Like there's an HDMI port on the back of Shield, so you can hook up to the TV. But then it kind of feels like, why would you want to have like a 15-foot HDMI cable coming from the back of your TV to this device? And then the wireless, if you can stream it to the TV wirelessly, that would be fine. But then you're adding more latency into it and all this kind of stuff. I just, this would be. It's a very cool start. It would be great if you could do it with your devices that you already had, your Android devices you already had. If you're talking about what happens away from the house, you're basically looking at an Android handheld console.
Yep.
And I think, in my opinion, people who play Android games, who play iOS games, don't want to carry an extra device. They're playing Android games and iOS games because they're fun, but they're doing it because it's convenient. Because this is already something I have in my pocket. And you hear people in the gaming world today that even people, we listen to the Giant Bomb podcast and that kind of stuff. Yeah. And a lot of people who do mobile gaming don't do it on Vita and Nintendo systems anymore because it's like, well, I don't want to carry an extra device with me. Why do I want to do that? I have this other thing that can do some stuff, not nearly as good, but it can do some stuff. And I have a feeling, I feel like they're going to get caught in that trap.
So, do we think the missing piece of this puzzle is running an application for a partner of NVIDIA Grid? So I forget who the U.S. partner was, but that's like
while you're not at home.
Yeah.
Well, or even at home.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, see, when they announced Grid and they talked about Tegra 4 and they talked about the Shield thing, I did kind of think there would be some combination of all of it, where you would have like a little Roku box type thing that would plug into your TV that would attach to an NVIDIA Grid service that they didn't announce. They announced partners with stuff, and you'd be able to do it that way. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this question.
Yes, please do.
If they released this product, but they didn't have it attached to the GeForce experience, what would your reaction be?
Not good at all.
No,
it'd be way worse.
Awful.
Yeah. In my opinion, the connection to the PC is the only thing that really makes it interesting to me, because I don't play games on Android, and I'm not one of those people that believes that console quality games coming to an Android device is the next revolution, right? They showed Hawken running on Android, and they're showing high visual quality games on Android. And that's great and all, but again, you're getting into the whole extra device thing. And I think what the cell phone has proven is that you are consolidating devices. You don't want to expand out again, even if it has nice controllers and nice buttons and great battery life and all that kind of stuff.
It seems like a device where, with the GeForce Experience streaming stuff, you could find a lot of situations where it'd be handy and awesome. I don't know, you're lying on the couch, someone else is using the TV or whatever. But
that's like
it has to be at a price point where you don't think about it.
Yeah,
you just have to buy it and then fit into your life later. I think
it's like the Wii U does, right? The Wii U is a console that plugs into your house. If you're within a range, you can play on that Wii U remote, right? And it's kind of handy. But then your wife can use the TV at the same time. It doesn't restrict her on what that single device is doing because your console is kind of dedicated. It's the same idea as that, but I also feel like it doesn't have it doesn't have the appeal to me like the Wii U. That's kind of cool, but type of mentality. I don't know. And so every time somebody from India asks me, what do you think? And I say, I just don't know yet. It needs to simmer some. Now I'm a little bit fidgety because they wanted to make sure that we knew it was called Project Shield. that maybe this wasn't a completely final product. There could be minor changes to the button layout and the design, and the plastic was going to be a little bit different for sure.
They did tell us Q2.
They did say Q2.
A lot earlier than I would have thought.
Yeah.
Now, how about this? What if they had a Android app where then you can install that on your phone, and your phones can act as controllers like the Wii U. You have that main one that has everything, but then you got the usual other, motion detect controllers.
That requires a whole different game ecosystem then, right? If you're going to have multiplayer games that some people use, or one person uses a shield for, and other people use like their phones.
Yeah.
Interesting idea, but what I think probably is the best idea, and I think Ken brought this up right after the thing.
It should be part of Tegra Zone.
It should just be. It should no. Well, it should be. You shouldn't have to have the shield for this technology. You should have to have a Tegra 4 powered device. If that's how they want to make it a closed system, do that without requiring a specific device, right? Because you're going to have Tegra 4 powered cell phones and tablets and stuff that people are going to want to buy. And what you do is you have a Tegra 4 device, great. Do you have a GeForce card in your desktop system? Great. Now you can do this streaming stuff. Hook up a USB controller to your
sell you a
tablet.
Bluetooth GeForce controller.
I mean, the Xbox USB controller, they showed you playing games on Android devices on an Xbox controller
like 3
all
years
last
ago.
CES. Like that was their
They've
big
been
deal.
showing that for like 3 years.
Yeah, but it was the big deal last year, and now it's kind of like it's kind of gotten away from that some and into this particular device that doesn't really fit NVIDIA's business style.
No, because typically they have partners that insulate NVIDIA.
No
from
partners
the
are
end
excited
users.
about this.
No.
I don't think they're particularly aggravated about it because it's not a market they're worried about.
No.
And maybe they'll sell more GeForce cards because of it. I just don't feel like you will.
Maybe.
But I think if you could say any Tegra 4 device, because I think about the number of people that will have Tegra 3 or Tegra 4 devices, it'll be pretty high. Think about the number of people that will buy Shield. It will be relatively low. Whatever it is, it will be comparatively low. So now if you get 20% of Tegra owners, Tegra 3 and 4 owners, to buy a GeForce GTX card, because now they can do this cool
That's
streaming
a gigantic
thing.
Number.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
Maybe they're using the Shield as a beta test.
It's a really expensive beta test.
Wouldn't be the first
5-year development time. So anyway, check out that video. It's about 20 minutes long, and you can see us kind of test some stuff, go over that with Jason Paul and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
good stuff.
PCPro.com/CES. It's a great place.
What else did we see? Did you see anything interesting at Thermaltake? They have a new line of
2 new lines of cases. One's more of a value. I think it's the Clarice or something like that.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
I can't remember offhand. I have it written down somewhere.
Okay.
And those are going to be value, and they apparently a current generation case. This is what it's based off of. So they're releasing those quickly. Then they have kind of a mid-range. It looks like they're trying to compete sort of with Corsair with some of the design aspects.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of case makers out there. There's a lot of reused ideas. So everything's kind of going forward. A couple new power supplies. Some that you can somewhat overclock. And, you increase the cooling, it can go from like 750 watts and run up to 870 watts.
Sure.
They have, other, big fans that don't get in the way in the way of large memory sticks. And so they redesigned a bunch of their tower coolers so that you can, use a wide variety of memory sticks without having to worry about it. They've got their latest revision of Ace Tech-based water coolers. They've got their big water, which is redesigned and a little bit more turnkey for those looking for a beefier water cooling setup. And then they just have more of their gaming keyboards and mice, some headphones, but nothing really new and exciting. Not like the Level 10 GT or any of the other big splashy products.
We'll have post up on that in a little bit. If not by the time you hear this. What else do we have? We went to the AMD press conference. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about that tonight because we're going to go see AMD at their suite tomorrow.
Sweet.
And take a look at the products and maybe get a little bit more detail on what these CPU architectures they kind of, I don't want to say announce, but a little bit more detail on that kind of stuff, both from tablets to laptops to desktops even, right? With this Llano Plus or Trinity Plus type stuff, what they call Richland.
And later on, and the one thing that we will say is that they basically said Kaveri is going to be out this year. And that's huge for them because not only is it GCN Core for graphics, but it's also the steamroller architecture, which is yet again a jump up from the pile driver that we see in Trinity and Vishera. And for everything that we've seen about steamroller, it should solve a lot of the per clock performance issues we see with AMD versus what Intel can offer. Just because they've re-architected some of the kind of the front end of the CPU to more adequately fill the execution units of these processors.
Well, let's see what we can find out tomorrow, and we will bring that up again on the next edition of the PC Perspective CES podcast. Now, Alan, you spent a lot of time in particular downstairs at PepCom Digital Experience. Were there any what's going on over there? Oh, thank God he had a shirt on underneath.
Josh is stripping for us.
Oh, it's so hot.
It did get warm in here. Anyway, now we've got that done. What did you find that may be interesting, Alan?
So we saw the, let's see, who makes Connected Data? Makes that transporter thingy we posted on a little over a month ago.
Ah, the Drobo guy, huh?
The Drobo people all sort of
and
moved
I
over
talked to Sarah.
Yeah, thanks.
The transporter...
And it was on Tuesday, the 13th.
Transporter was like the...
Transporter is this little...
Drobo... No, I'm sorry, Dropbox for your home.
Yes, this is like a Dropbox where you are the one providing the storage yourself.
I'm on board with that.
So it's a unit. It's this nifty little sideways laptop hard drive little thing. It's kind of a small...
Okay.
Actually, I took a picture of it. But,
well, we can't show it on the stream.
Yeah, I know.
We're not streaming.
But it's this little thing where the hard drive plugs into it, sort of like a toaster, and then it has a little cover that goes over it. So it's in like one sealed unit. It connects over gigabit Ethernet.
Good. Does it run at gigabit speeds?
It runs as fast as the hard drive, and it runs.
Okay. All right. It's close enough.
It's probably bottlenecking the hard drive before it bottlenecks the gigabit. Anyway, so it acts like Drobo, but the idea is that the capacity is based on your throughput of your home connection.
Sure.
And
upstream.
And the capacity of the drive that's in it. So they're selling it with a 1 or a 2 terabyte drive.
This is not for people that have minimal data caps on their broadband internet, it sounds like.
Well, it could be, because it's only syncing whatever, first of all, it's syncing stuff within your network at your house most of the time, because that's where your system is going to be. Right? If you were on the road, it would still sync stuff, but it would only use the bandwidth from your home of whatever changed.
Okay, well, yeah.
Right? So, and there's 2 different types of folders, too.
I use Dropbox maybe more than, or in a more, let's
use
say,
it more as
intense
local storage.
mode. Yeah.
Right. But the way that this works is there's 2 different types of folders on it for your network or whatever it is configured with your PCs or your laptops. One folder is the one that acts like Dropbox, and it's a sync. Okay. The other folder is more like a NAS. So you have these 2 different types of folders. So your home, you don't want 1 terabyte worth of data syncing to your Ultrabook.
Sure.
Because you don't have 1 terabyte to mirror that. You just can't do it. Right. So you want to have some stuff on this device that's not necessarily on your PC, but you still want it shared. So in that respect, there are folders that act like just a network share, where you just put stuff there, and that's the copy of it.
Yeah.
It's just sitting there, just like any other NAS, right? But the cool thing is that with their software, say you're away from home, it still can reach back and pull those files over. So it's like a network share that works even when you're outside. Because the way it works
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, it's good. You have like, there was this huge thing that was on my NAS that I forgot. This huge file.
It sounds bad.
Yeah.
Don't just leave it there.
So if you're willing to, use that bandwidth to pull it over across the internet, then you can do it. The really cool thing that I like about it is, say you want to have some stuff stored, but you want it like off-site, right? You have like your entire family photo collection,
right?
Whatever, right? The typical thing that some of the more creative people like us would do is, you find that family member and you make some kind of share on their computer and you set something up so that those files are, like, you sort of mirror it and you make your offsite backup your family's house, right?
Okay.
You could do that with this easily. You would just buy 2 of them, have them shipped to you first. You'd load them up. You can pair them together, and that pairing will stick even if the unit is somewhere else. Okay, but you set them up at your house, you dump all your photos, videos, everything that you want on them, it mirrors across both of them, then you box the other one up.
You can do that with a home and an office.
Same thing. A home and an office, or your home and another family member's home, right? So you take all the stuff that you want backed up, quote-unquote off-site, mirror it all, the bulk of it, at your place, box the other one back up, ship it off to mom, right?
Okay.
Now it's at mom's house. She turns it on over there and connects to it as a network share or whatever over there, or you do it for her if she doesn't know how, right? But then from that point forward, all the difference, whatever photos you add, that's what goes over the network.
Then what happens if mom is dumb and she deletes all the pictures?
Oh.
That might actually delete them all on
Yeah, you should check
the
them
other
out.
end. Yeah, that'd be
Revisioning. Should they have revisioning?
I don't think it has that, but it probably
You
has
give
permission.
mom read-only access.
It probably has permissions of some form. Yeah.
Sorry, Mom.
Sorry, mom. It's for your own good.
Yes.
Okay.
But that's kind of a cool idea. And the other thing I found out was that you can also order it without the drive. You can just provide your own drive.
That's cool.
So you have this old
I like that
laptop drive.
flexibility.
You upgrade it to an SSD in your laptop. You have this 600 gig whatever just sitting around. So you buy this for the cheapest possible cost, and you just stick it in your own drive.
Right.
It has enough logic within it to format the drive and handle all that stuff.
Single drive.
There's only one slot. Yeah.
2.5 inch.
2.5 inch laptop style.
Okay.
If you want more storage, you can actually you need another one of these transporters, but you can have multiple on one network, and they work.
No
with each
USB
other.
ports for expansion on or anything?
There is USB, but it's only meant for USB based network NIC for wireless. If you don't want to connect it gigabit, you want to connect it wireless. I don't see why, because then that would really
That would be your
That
bottleneck.
would slow you down
bottleneck.
quite a bit.
All right, what else did we see?
we saw that
You
huge
saw this Kingston thing?
Kingston. This thing is
Like this thing?
it's like an inch thick. It's enormous.
It's an inch thick USB drive.
Yeah, it's like basically a brick, and it feels like a brick. You're just holding the thing, and there's
Is
like
it
a lot of
heavy?
weight to it. Yeah, it's that.
Dense?
There's that shell is like just this zinc alloy metal.
Is it
stuff.
gonna bend your plug?
Yeah, it probably would.
It's gonna loosen it all up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What capacities? It's big for a reason.
Okay, so the large version of this thing is half a terabyte and a terabyte, and the half a terabyte version is supposedly somewhere around $1,700.
That's it?
That's all.
Why
That's
do you
all.
want this?
Are you gonna
I
throw this stick
don't
down
really
a
know.
hallway?
I don't know, but basically this thing is a full blown. I don't know what controller, but it's like a USB to, I would imagine, some kind of SATA thing inside there, and then it's like a full blown SSD controller in there with a bunch of RAM. So
I could buy a couple of 512 gigabyte SSDs for $1,700 in USB 3 adapters.
And you know what? I even agree with you, and I think that you could take that and stick them in an enclosure that's a USB adapter, and
Right.
probably have a similar volume to what that takes up.
Yeah, it's just,
Honestly, except that other thing would be much more flat.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw it. The thing is,
You said it earlier. Like you can't if you have anything surrounding that USB port on the back of your computer, you can't use that.
I wouldn't even bother trying to plug that into the back of the computer, because if there's anything near the USB port, like your network cable or anything, it's
Keyboard,
just not,
all that kind of
it'd
stuff.
be
it's just
like-
not going to fit. Yeah,
It'd be like 3 times as thick as my laptop.
yeah, it is. It is.
It'd be like a nice stand for it.
Exactly. I was gonna say it's gonna prop it up nicely.
Just at an odd angle, so you can type like this.
Type downhill.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
Let's see. So they had a newer version of the Y drive. I don't have a picture of it on the laptop right here,
Okay.
but the older version of the Y drive that the Kingston made was it had the storage internally. You can buy it in like a 16 gig internal thing. And the idea was that you can have it's sort of like a mini NAS that you can carry around with you, and your iPad or whatnot can access extra storage and pull videos off of it and play them and stuff like that. They have a different version of the Y drive that they're beta testing that there's no internal storage, but it has like a, let's see, there was a USB, there was 3 different connectivity options on it, and I think they were simultaneous as well.
Huh.
So it was the same size box, but I imagine it just had more battery in it, so it can last a little longer or whatnot.
Sure.
But it had a USB thing, so you can just plug in like a jump drive into it of whatever capacity, and then poof, that's what you could store stuff on that or pull stuff off of that was files that were already on it, basically. It was SD was the other one, and I think it was like micro SD or one of the really...
That wouldn't make much sense.
I don't know. It was 3 different... No, it was 3 different kinds of...
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so kind of a cool concept because you're not limited to whatever the capacity was of the Y drive that you bought.
Pretty cool.
You could throw a really huge... in theory, if it could power it, you could plug in like a external...
You could throw on a terabyte thumb drive?
You could plug a terabyte thumb drive into it. And there was also an SSD, like a 300 series SSD, which previously... I don't have a picture of that on here either. Previously, those were J-Micron controllers. It was like their low end.
I remember J-Micron.
Yeah,
Who?
it was those. Okay, so now...
The stutter step SSD guys.
Okay, so this was kind of interesting. They're sort of doing a vector-ish kind of thing.
Who?
An OCZ vector-ish kind of thing.
Yeah, no. I missed the first part. Who?
Kingston.
Oh, okay. We're still talking about Kingston. Gotcha.
We're still on Kingston. It's a 300 series drive, which was previously J-Micron. This one now is Sandforce 2281, so they're still borrowing someone else's part for that. And they're buying it's 19 nanometer, I believe, Toshiba flash, but they're buying the wafers and packaging themselves, just like what OCZ was doing with the Vector, packaging their own flash memory because it's cheaper to do it that way. So the cool thing was 120 gigabyte drive is supposed to go for around $120.
MSRP?
Yeah. So they're going for like, $1 per gig right out of the gate, which
It's
is
a good place to start with.
Which is about what Vector was doing,
Yeah.
right? So that's kind of good to see more people doing that because the more people that, push the envelope lower on the price per
Cheaper
gig.
it will get.
Yeah, the cheaper it'll get across the board, right? I think that's it for me.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, fun continues for everybody, where we will visit such companies as AMD, again, we talked about, OCZ. We will see Zotac, Intel. We're going to see their mobile power comparisons. Crucial, Micron, Lucid. Who's this one? Diamond.
Sapphire.
Who's this one? I think that's next
CES.
maybe
Diamond?
CS. Patriot. NVIDIA booth walkthrough. I don't know if there will be anything new from that. And then that's it. And then I'm going to go play some basketball and dunk on some bulls
Who's?
at the MSI hard court at the Palms
That's Wednesday?
party. It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow's Tuesday, buddy.
What are we doing for dinner again?
Do they need to know this?
Why?
We could have stalkers out here.
No.
Yeah, I'm just telling you where I'm
I'm
going
just
to
really
dinner
worried
tomorrow.
about dinner.
It's
What's
tonight.
What's dinner?
Let's worry about tomorrow night.
Okay.
You're lucky. You're lucky you get to eat it all.
You're right, I am.
Yeah,
Enjoy your energy bars.
it's actually pretty true.
So yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out. We the live stream's not going to work. We tried a couple of different times to do bandwidth stuff here, so
Not so
you're
much.
gonna have to deal with the recorded versions. But check out the Swank Suite here.
Boom.
It's purple.
Look at the fancy
mirror wall.
Japanese style pillows we got here. A mirror wall just for Josh. All right, let's end this podcast before something else goes on. Bye everybody. I'm Ryan Shrout.
Josh Walrath.
Alan Malentano.
Ken Addison.
See ya.
Good night.